Today we're gonna be breaking down this song "Weekend" by Paddock and BOUT 7 and Caleny. It's a great song. If you haven't listened to it yet, go check it out. I helped produce the song, so I'm gonna basically take you through what we did, how we made the sounds. Basically, I don't even know how I made most of these sounds, and we're gonna go through and basically I'm gonna teach myself again how this song came to be. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take this section by section, song wise. We're also gonna go section by section in the production. So I'm gonna show you all the instruments, all the like MIDI stuff that
Yeah.
make up the music. We'll use the drums as its own section, and then we'll do vocals as its own section. If you are a producer, you don't care about vocals, and you just want to know how I did the drums, go to the drum section. If you don't care about everything else, you want to go to the vocals, go to the vocal section. Yeah.
Yeah.
Organization. You want to tell us about the song? What do you think?
Absolutely, bro. When I first wrote the chorus to this tune, I loved it, but I knew it needed something edgier than what the Adam Paddock brand could bring to the table. So I thought, why not have them throw a verse on it or two? And then once they wrote their part and we had the track mainly produced out, I reached out to Ellie, who is Caleny. I actually met her at a songwriters round, and she absolutely killed it on this verse. Within 24 hours, she had like three different versions of the verse to us. And the pre-chorus was ridiculously fast, and we all just fell in love with her voice. And she just rips it on some harmonies and everything. There's some really, really fun little moments of production in this song as well that I can't wait to get to. So yeah, stick around. This will be long, but learn a thing.
I mean, as you can see, this song is a Goliath. This is a beast. All right.
Good Lord.
I mean, we got 263 tracks. Look, I don't know what the average producer, how many tracks he uses, but to me, that's a lot. Let's get into it. Basically what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go section by section. I'm gonna play the full thing and then basically show you the most interesting parts to me and how I made them. Okay, let's take a listen. Let's take a listen.
If we stayed up all night, would you think that's alright? Take my time, I wanna know ya.
So you got weird, strange intro. Dude, our intros are always weird. I kind of always make my intros like later after the song is fleshed out.
You
And I'm
do.
like, how can I make this intro? I'm just gonna fade in somehow. That's
Yeah,
usually
right.
what I do.
I don't even know how
And
you made this sound. What is that?
it's basically a bunch of serum patches. I knew that we were gonna go for some poppy, and I wanted to go for some like 80s vibe. Not necessarily that this song is like an 80s vibe, but it's like the sounds are like a lot of heavy chorus plugins, a lot of like big synths. So I don't think the song necessarily evokes 80s genre vibes, but the sounds themselves. So
Yeah, yeah.
here are some of the sounds that make up the majority of the song. I was basically scrolling through Serum. This is how I work. I go through these patches. I just go until I find an interesting sound. That's basically it.
That's it.
And I came across this sound. I mean, you can hear what it sounds without any of these things.
Yeah, please.
Okay, cool. It's like some sort of like electric piano stabs. So
I
I
dig.
use RC20 on like everything. Okay,
Okay.
this thing is incredible. Literally everything has this. I just put on this plugin to give it that stereo feel and wobble
Mm.
it so it sounds
Yeah,
sick.
that's about 7 sound right there.
Listen, it's everything. And so you put it on. I mean, the difference is astronomical. Okay. So
Fire.
that makes up all the verses and it gives it some groove. And so basically I'm looking for sounds. I need all these like nice sounds that I can use to build
Mhm.
out the song. So okay, we got sounds like that. We got sounds like this bass, right?
Oh,
And
it's
it's
hard.
nothing, it's nothing special. What's helped me the most is finding sounds off the bat that are great.
That's
But
huge.
specifically for like the core things, like your bass. Producers take like this really awful bass and then they mix it to sound really good. Well, look,
Mm.
I'm not that crazy. I find a bass that sounds good off the bat, throw that joint in there,
Boom.
and the mix is so much easier,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I literally just like scrolled through bases, and I found this synthy kind of bass, and again, going for all these like chorusy sounds, and this fit right in there. It's super
I
bassy,
love it.
but still like synthy with that chorus feel.
Yeah, that punches, bro.
Yep. And I've got literally nothing on it, okay? Laugh at me, but I got
Wow.
nothing on it. So there you go. Okay, so basically how I made that intro was I took these sounds and I actually used this lead sound only in the end again. It's the only other time I use it. Sounds like this. Here it is without anything. This is the same patch that I used for the solo, the synth solo in the song.
Yeah.
Woo!
That's so hard.
And then, of course, you got your chords. You know, for how big of a song it is, it's relatively empty in
Yeah.
terms of like background things because I didn't want to put much. You have these keys, these stabs that make up pretty much everything. Right? There's this, like that classic swell.
Yeah. This is in the pre.
Yeah, that's in the pre-chorus. That's in the chorus. It's in the intro. So what I did is I bounced. Basically, I threw some chords. I threw these chords right over the synth that we just heard.
Yeah.
And then I just faded it in. I bounced it all into this one file.
Boom.
Done.
Yep.
It's good stuff.
Fire.
Good stuff. You have all these elements to play with. So basically what I do is I select those sounds. All right, these are the sounds I'm going to work with. I got a stabby sound. Bum, 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 bum. I got the body sound, the keys. I got the bass, the basic elements that I need to flesh out. And so then I went and I structured the whole song using those elements.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it for making the song. Everything else after that is embellishment. So basically you got keys for the main stabs, for chords, for you got for the verses a little bit different. You need stabs. I needed something a little bit that was moving a little bit more, right? Good stuff. Very lively, very exciting. And then for transitions, I just use these things, right? So like, same with the bass. You put the bass under those things, and it's the bass. Now the cool thing about the bass is I needed some, you know, excitement. I was just jamming out with this other synth patch, and then I made. So that's just doing the.
Ah. Oh,
Make
that's
more
hard.
exciting. And
Yeah.
like, you know, the bass itself. So I just needed something with a little bit more like high end, a little bit more dirt,
Yeah.
so you could hear it through the mix. But you know, they sound the same under there, right? You feel the notes more than you hear them, and that's what I needed. So one last part of the instrumental is the solo. The solo was played by moi. Basically, I just got that same patch that I used for the lead. So I love how this, how it opens up like that. So basically, I got like this simple serum patch I got. Basically, Splice is my best friend.
Come on now.
I surf through Splice. I find these dope sounds because the presets in Serum only take you so far, and people are making all these beautiful sounds on Splice. Here's what it sounds like. Right, but I needed more. I needed more of that. I needed to sound a little bit 80s, and I wanted that like wow, that wow.
Yeah.
And so the only way I really know how to do that is to use this stock Logic Auto Funk, and then you know RC20 of course, because everything I use uses that, and reverb. That's what this does.
So good.
You know.
So much better.
Love it. And then obviously, like I'm not a professional. I quantize my solos. There's no shame in that at all.
Yeah, none at all.
I'll then go in and then like so this last part. That's all quantized, right? So it's
Yeah.
on beat. I need it to
Yeah.
sound good, right? This is a produced song. Everything needs to sound on point. Usually if it's a solo, like I won't play with the velocity because that's more natural to what I was playing. But
Yeah.
I'll go and I'll fix little things. You know, there's parts like whoa, like that's not quantized because you get that slide.
Yep.
If I
Yep. You want that.
quantize them, they'd hit at the same time. You wouldn't have that wah wah. You know, it would just be
Yep. Absolutely, bro.
the same right there. Na-na-na-na, wah wah, and then wah.
I love it, man.
So yeah, anyways, I quantize the
Fire.
parts that need to be quantized and I leave the other ones. Anyways, so that is literally it. Look, check this out. This right here is the bulk of the instruments. Right? Get some chords there. And then that comes in. Okay. And then, you know, little sections like this is basically the same stabs, but I just cut off, you know, some of the high end so that it comes in because we're building up into the.
Yeah, make it punch.
Good stuff. Aside from that, you have your risers, which are always things I find in Splice, right? They just add that. Here it is. Right, and I use a lot of them. Like every little thing has a little riser to bring it in because it just makes that difference. And they're tiny. You can see. You know, honestly, they're a little bit lazy of me because I just use them to fill in places. They definitely are. But this song has so much going on. It just like adding that, just I don't care. There you go. Look at that. That's for like the drums. But
It's sick.
the next part to the melody were the guitars. Look, man. this silly little laptop that I use, like that was it. I'm at like 261 tracks. There was no way I was gonna continue mixing a whole nother group of guitars or like coming up with melodies on the guitars. Because I recorded the guitars way later, right? I was like, you know, we need a little bit more. So I opened a new Logic file, a separate Logic file. So I have another Logic file called Weekend Guitars. I exported the song and I put it on there and I record all the guitars on this separate Logic. So really we're probably at like another 20 tracks on top of all this.
Good
And
Lord.
I exported it all and I brought it into here. These sound like this. So, in all honesty, they sound kind of bad. I'm not using a pedal board. I'm not using any fancy. I don't have any of that. I literally just squash the crap out of them, distort them. You can hear it sounds kind of unnatural because I need it to be like on time.
Yes, so
Because everything
quantized.
else is so like quantized and everything is so tight. I needed these to fit right in there, right?
Totally.
So I would literally go in and hand like move them and chop them up to make sure that they were like perfectly on.
It must
beat.
be done.
So they sound weird and unnatural, but underneath everything, they just add that grit. And then here's. And I'm basically just like recording each note of the chord in a separate track.
Yeah.
Because it makes it sound so much cleaner.
Ooh.
And I just chop that in. my mediocre improvisational skills. Hey, that took like 40 takes. Okay. It took me so long to get that on beat.
Yeah,
and get
that's
that,
insane.
because I needed to have that. Yeah.
Oh,
Anyways,
fire.
I drenched those in chorus to give it that 80s sound as well, like everything else. I put a lot of reverb for the chorus, for the bridge. Really wanted to come in. And then here.
Oh, come on. Oh,
Here it's only 2 notes.
yeah. Oh,
So I'm not like playing chords, it's just these 2 harmonizing notes.
yeah.
Yeah, bro, the bridge is my favorite part. I'm just shocked I was able to make it sound like that with how out of tune my guitar goes.
I did not know we needed that until you added it. It was so late. Like that was the last instrument
That was like,
added by
yeah, that
far.
was at the end. Going down melodically, I guess we can talk about trumpets now. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Come on, Calyn. Let's go.
Bro, so Calyn Quigley, great guy, great musician, great trumpet player. It's always fun because you don't make pop music when you're doing trumpet
Right?
in
He
college,
brings
so
wild life to this song.
he does. So he's got that creative touch where he's listening to these songs objectively for the first time and he comes up with these melodies. A big part of the song now is these stabs, which are the first things that you hear. Right?
Yes.
And that was his idea. He was like, I hear those. He was listening to that. He was like, you know what? I'm gonna go bum bum bum.
Yes.
So that's
Come on.
his creative mind coming into play. So it's always good to give your music to other musicians and just see what they do with it. And look, like he did this himself. He bounced all the tracks and
Yeah.
he reversed them so that it would really cut off sharp
So
there,
creative,
which
bro.
I think
So
is awesome. That's so
Yes.
dope. And so he's really great at stacking his harmonies. So he just sent me all these tracks. These are all the trumpet tracks. Basically, they all looked like this, right? And then I would go through and then, listen to all his parts and then chop them up and use them in different ways. Here's where we can really hear his harmonies. Great addition, man. I
That's
mean,
ridiculous. That's
here's the
ridiculous.
bridge.
Oh!
Dude, it's beautiful. Trumpets are a whole different ball game. When you're bringing in now like brass instruments and mixing brass
Yeah.
instruments with all these sounds. So I was basically winging it. Like I all I wanted to do is make these sound like blend as best as possible. And so you're gonna laugh what I did, but
I have no
some
clue.
of these things, look, here's the thing about the trumpet is it's like a real instrument and there's a
Yeah.
lot of factors that play in the sound and I don't know what and so there's all these little micro, things that the air, some parts sound a little more out of tune than others. The vibrato changes how things mesh with each other. And so when you're stacking things like this so much, all those little micro imperfections, they add up. Especially when you're trying to do like beautiful harmonic movements. Like they need to, one, they need to be perfectly in time. Two, they need to be perfectly in tune so
Yeah.
that it sounds as beautiful as it does, right? I basically went in and so that it blends in with all the electronic instruments that we have above it. So I literally, for some of these tracks, I auto-tuned the trumpet pretty heavily too, just because I didn't want to go in and spend all that time like fixing the notes or whatever the heck, and not all of them needed that. I just threw it on for safe measure. It doesn't change how the trumpet sounds. It just makes it more in tune in those areas. Yeah, you can see how strong it is, and compressed them and then EQ'd them a little bit.
Boom.
So I find that hilarious, but it really works.
I would have had no idea.
And you can still hear in some areas, like I don't get rid of that natural timbre or that natural, imperfections that may come. the long notes get corrected. You know, like the attack stays the same, but as the note gets drawn out, it gets corrected and everything meshes together. Here is Caleny Quigley's beautiful solo.
Let him
on
know.
top
Let
of
him
my
know.
synth solo.
As two
Dude.
washed up trumpet players right here in this Zoom call right now, like it is so humbling to work with Caleny because boy, he's ridiculous. Play his solo on top of yours.
Because he heard my solo and he's like, he needs more.
Yep.
So I sent him my solo,
Yep.
and he just like layered all this on top of it. So here we go. Awesome. I mean, the beautiful thing is how he plays in the pockets and then comes back in. So he'll play in the pockets and then come back in with the melody.
It's
so
ridiculous.
And it comes back in. Harmony's coming in. Oh, it's great. There's a pocket, right? There's a pocket. It's great.
Caleny, if you got this far in the video, we love you.
We do very much so. Yeah, sorry for auto-tuning your trumpets in some areas, but for a great purpose.
Had to be
like I
done.
said, so I do want to emphasize, it's because we're making pop music and we're trying to mesh it with the synths. Everything needs to be perfect.
Yep.
Because your ear will get those minor imperfections. All right, so now one of my favorite parts of the song are the drums. So welcome, drum section people. If you skipped ahead to find this part, welcome. I applaud you for appreciating the drums. All right. This is like very cool for me to share this with you.
This is like super cool, actually.
Super
just so
cool,
you know.
No, that's not what I meant. Very cool for me to try and share with you how the heck I made these drums. So here is the dilemma that we're always facing when we're using MIDI drums and we're using loops and we're using this. So it's like, on the one hand, I could pull a loop and just like use a loop that someone mixed super cool and just use that loop. It's amazing. On the other hand, I could MIDI my thing, but I want it to sound, I wanted like those ghost notes. Boom, boom. Those ghost notes that are so hard to replicate with MIDI programming. I wanted that percussiveness of like real drums, but I wanted the punchiness and the sound of, some MIDI drums and some samples. And anyways, I put it all together. So you're going to see now, I used a mixture of both. I got this loop. Okay, so this loop, it was like much longer, has like fills and stuff. I just picked up like the normal beat. EQ'd out all the bass because I wanted my own kick and I wanted my own like sounds. But I just wanted this to highlight those ghost notes.
Yeah.
And here's what it sounds like. No EQ. This is like really tight, well-recorded drums. You have those beautiful ghost notes, right?
Yep.
So I like destroyed it with like, EQ'd out all the bass, put some distortion on there, and I made it. Right? Because I just want like the percussiveness of that, right? It's basically a percussive instrument. A year ago, I'd be like, oh my God, Moses, you're like, you got to program that yourself. You got to go get your own drums and record. I'm like, bro, like it's right there. I don't.
Yeah, shut up. It's
what rules you think I'm supposed to be following here? And then I come in with my lovely kick and snare.
No. Oh.
Look, man, I searched for a kick that sounded real good and a snare that sounded real good. Like I wasn't gonna move forward with the drums until I found the kick that hit the way I needed it to hit and a snare that punched the way I needed it to punch, right?
Yep,
Wasn't gonna
totally.
move forward without that because look, I'm not gonna find something and then try and make it sound the way I need it to sound. I'm gonna find something that sounds good already and use it to my advantage in this situation. Yeah, I just compressed them a little bit to make it more punchy. Added some reverb on the drums, as you can hear on the snare. I mean, people are gonna laugh at me. Look, I mean, this is basically clipping right here, right?
Yeah.
I have a mastering plugin on all this right now.
Yeah.
So, but everything is still clipping because, what do I know about mixing? Yeah, look, it sounds good to me. It sounds good, and I'm gonna get better, and I'm gonna learn new things. But
Yeah.
this is what I did, and I think it worked. So I just got this, and this is literally a kick preset. You go here, look, kick start, boom,
No way.
and it gives me this,
That's
and I
sick.
I roll I really like what it does. It just cuts out some of the low end to make room for the bass. I mean, it
Yep.
doesn't even cut out that much. I mean, some of the frequencies here are probably still conflicting with the bass frequencies,
Oh,
and that
absolutely,
probably
bro.
frustrates a lot of mixing engineers. It gives it some texture over here, and another thing it does is it kind of it moves. It's got some automation. You can read the manual or whatever on how that works.
Yeah, if you want to produce like Moses, just read the manual.
Read the manual, man.
Duh.
But yeah, it's literally so minimal. EQ, compressor, boom. Got the snare. Crank that joint up real loud. I just needed it to punch. That is it. So, like, people are always like, bro, how do you make your kick so loud while not distorting it? Basically, you can see how, on average, all my volume knobs are like,
Yeah, pretty low.
well, these are like, here, let me open these, right? They're all like 50% or lower,
Yeah,
right? These are the
totally.
mains. But here you can see, right?
Mhm.
So I everything is so quiet, and I'll crank my speakers loud in my room, but everything is so quiet in the in actual Logic file. So I have room now to bring the kick up and without anything clipping or, I mean, it's
Yeah.
still clipping, but anyways. So then I got these hats. Just typical, as electronic as they come.
Yeah, for real.
All right, I added some distortion. This is what they sound like without it. So they sound kind of like, not really like a trap hat, but like
Yeah.
more realistic sounding, but still electronic hat. But I wanted it super tight, so I distorted it and I like chopped it. So it's a little
Yeah, it's crunchy.
crunchy. So here you go. So here's without the loop. So it punches.
Yeah.
There's none of those like percussive elements.
Yep.
And that's all this loop adds.
Yeah, that's huge. It's huge.
Yep. And then the only other thing that I added were these nice crash cymbals that I use all the time. Basically, they're these super dope samples that I was like a teenager, like surfing through all these sample packs, and I found these. I just kept them. Like these super like washy, like not very. They don't pierce your ears. They're like, but they're still very like exciting. They almost sound like white noise.
For real, there's so much. Yeah, there's so much going on.
It doesn't sound like a cymbal. It sounds like, I mean, they're China, right? They're for when heavy metal bands do their breakdowns.
Yeah,
And that's what that is. Because it like adds the cymbal hit, but it's like, it doesn't overpower anything. And then you can hear it a lot in the last chorus. And I also added this little.
Yeah. Yeah, so you really added like your own kind of ghost notes as you went.
That's exactly what those are.
Yeah.
One more thing about the drums I think is super cool. in the transitions. So you have like to the next comes round, boom, boom, boom. So to make those transitions a little bit more unique. Boom, boom, boom. So did you hear those snares? I pitched down the snare just for that transition. So you can see here that these snares are all
Yeah,
down.
and then it goes back up.
They're down 6. They're not even down the same number.
No
There
way.
you go. Down 6 semitones, down 7 semitones, boom.
Oh.
And it comes
Then it's
in,
back.
right?
Then it's back. Yeah, I love
Right.
that.
So it gives it a little bit of a break. The most important part of the drums are the fills, the transition fills that basically give it that sound. And these are basically several samples that I found that I chopped up and layered and distorted. Here is
That's
right?
huge. I love that.
You got this one, which is this is just a chopped from the loop that I'm using here, right? Right? But less. Hear that? And then you put them together.
Is there no EQ on that either?
No, there's no EQ, but like a lot of distortion from the RC20 on that one.
Yeah.
With this one, yeah, I
you
mean,
got it on
I
that.
EQ'd it a little bit. Basically, I wanted to hit a punch with the rest of the drums, so I boosted this section to give it that punch. I mean, you can hear it like fighting with the other drums, but like I don't care.
It feels
And
huge. It feels huge.
It feels huge, and let it fight. You know, whatever. As long as it doesn't sound muddy. Some reverb and yep. And I heavily just like cranked up the gain so that they're like just roaring.
Ridiculous.
And you can see like I chopped different parts of the fill to make it sound like I want. Let's see what the heck this sounds like originally. So that's the fill, right?
Yeah.
And then I just chopped out the parts that I wanted and just used that, right?
That's so impressive.
I repeated the snare and there you go. And it's used that every single time, different areas. Now this is where like the riser really helps. Like, so every time the fill comes in, the riser does a little, you know, I'll add this one snare hit up here.
Yeah, right on. Show him the hit on 2 in the last chorus.
Here's how it sounds. Right, that's a very, very... And all I did was I pitched it up and I pitched it down. These are just like bounced of these, but pitched down and panned left and right.
Yeah.
Because I basically just like cut everything. Everything goes silent and it needs some sort of fill. And I didn't want it to just sound the same as everything else. So I pitched it down. So like you can't even hear the hit, but you feel the rhythm. But you know?
Yeah, like falls into it.
Because it's so pitched down, it feels like the bass is just pumping. Good stuff.
Crazy.
Good stuff. So there you go. That's the drums. Welcome to all the vocals, people. Welcome.
All right.
Hello. Now, there's a lot of vocals here. Adam would just be sending me like Dropbox after Dropbox. You got like 50 different takes in there. It's like
I do.
woo! So like, here you go. Look, all the green. This all green stuff is all like raw vocals. And I'm like,
that's all Adam right there. It's a lot of Adam.
Through, you can see like all of these gaps over here are where I've taken pieces of vocal and put them up wherever you are, right? All right, so we have some pretty good singers that we're working with, all right, which makes my job a lot easier. Okay, so we're gonna start with Ellie's vocals, right? Beautiful, beautiful voice. Basically, what I do for vocals, most of the music that I produce are rap music, right? I produce Luke's vocals all the time, right? He's a rapper. He sings heavily auto-tuned, heavily compressed. Very easy to make sound good because you're just making it sound as perfect as possible. I don't need to worry about naturalness or anything like that. Now you start making pop music, you start making beautiful voices like Ellie's and beautiful voices like Adam's, and you need to preserve that original timbre and the bending of the notes. And it was a new learning experience for me to start mixing vocals like this. But pop music vocals are still heavily compressed. That's what gives it that like pop in your ear, like hearing everything kind of vibe. It's just heavily compressed. All of them have auto tune. All of them have some EQ. I mean, the EQ, basically, I'm just trying to cut out all the muddiness of the bass and give it some high end. That's all I'm doing, right? And I literally I have layered compressors. Okay. You know, and some people will say, okay, the first one is to smooth out the edges, and then the second one is to really squash it. A lot of boosted high end. Make sure to de-ess the vocals as best as I can right at the start so that I can boost the high end without any sharpness. And if I want to use delay, I use this plugin, H Delay. I mean, it's an amazing delay plugin. I'm sure there are better ones, there are nicer ones, but this one is so nice. Good stuff. Okay, and then you have like reverb. I use Vintage Verb. Everybody uses this plugin. It's an amazing plugin. I mean, look at this. For these harmony, I'm using this kick room preset that's meant for like a drum kick. Look, it sounded nice to me, so I used it. At the end of the day, you use whatever sounds nice to you. So I really liked it. I used it. So that's the majority of like what you'll see. So, you know, all of these have basically the same fundamental plugins, right? So they all have autotune, they all have a de-esser. I'm cutting out the lows for all of them. I'm boosting the highs for all of them. I'm compressing the crap out of all of them. And then everything over here is just like embellishments. So different plugins will have a delay. Different plugins will have different types of reverb. Different plugins will be pitched down. I have this to pitch down and mess with the vocals a little bit differently. This right here is a little bit of a chorus. CLA effects, it's some like random waves plugin. People usually use CLA vocals. Fun fact, I wanted to download CLA vocals, but I accidentally downloaded CLA effects and I wasn't going to pay for another one. And a lot of people in the music industry crap on CLA vocals, but whatever. And I literally just use this one little thing here, Mr. Wide. It's basically a chorus pedal. That's all it does. Is I like how it makes the vocal sound. So I'll use it for some things. I'll use it for other things. So I wanted to use it on Ellie.
If we stayed up,
It gives it that, you know, like I said, a lot of things we're doing here are like 80s vibes, that chorus heavy feel. So I wanted her to have that as well.
if we stayed up all night, would you think that's alright? Take my time, I wanna know ya. Underneath the blue light, dance like it's the last time. It might be, you never know, yeah.
We have interesting things like this. Like, look at this. Right? Like weird. I don't even know what I did there. I EQ'd so much. I pitched it down with a little alter boy. It's got delay on it. You know, I just messed with it. I destroyed it, basically.
Yep.
Would you think that's alright? Take my time, I wanna know ya.
Because why not?
Underneath the blue.
Now, here's the thing. This song is very harmony heavy. Listen to how beautiful these sound.
Moments like this are standing still. Maybe it is just for the thrill. Monday I'll miss this kind of feel.
And then that's not even including Adam's.
Moments like this are standing still. Maybe it is just for the thrill. Monday I'll miss this kind of feel.
So now I
So
got
a lot of harmonies. These are my rules for stacking vocals and harmonies, right? Number one, just like we talked about with the trumpet, like they're not going to sound good if things are rhythmically out of time. Every syllable needs to hit at the same time because you got 50 different vocals and every little slight thing will make go moments like this are standing still, right? Like it won't line up. So basically what I'll do is I'll flex pitch everything and I'll go in and make sure that every single beginning of the vocal starts at the same time. So everything needs to rhythmically line up, but also everything needs to be very in tune. The rule for that is, look, your lead vocal needs to sound as natural as possible. So Ellie's main vocal needs to sound as natural as possible, right?
Yep.
Moments like this are standing still. Maybe it is just for the thrill. Monday I'll miss this kind of feel.
So I really prioritize getting a good take, right? So I sift through and find the best one, and it sounds great, right? It sounds natural. Everything else, I'll go double on the auto tune, right?
Yeah,
all of these,
Slam.
like,
Moments like this are standing still. Maybe it it's just for the thrill. One day I'll miss this kind of feel.
So these are all slammed. Like, let's take a listen to Adams.
Moments like this are standing still. Maybe it is just for the thrill. Monday I'll miss this kind of feel.
Right? And because they're in the background, their harmonies, having that little bit more robotic feel is all right. Like, you don't really hear it because you have all these layers stacked in. So, gotta be on time. It's gotta be in tune. And that will make it sound beautiful. All right, so let's just go section by section.
Oh yeah. Moments like this.
The beautiful harmonies there.
Maybe it is just for the thrill. One day I'll miss this kind of feel.
So now I got a weekend hangover. No one's gotta defend what happened last night. We didn't intend for what went down, but we'll run it back.
So we have so many harmonies going on in like the transitions and the pre-chorus. You get to the chorus and it's just Adam's main vocal and some harmonies from Ellie.
So now I got a weekend hangover. No one's gotta defend what happened last night. We didn't intend for what went down, but we'll run it back next time you're in town. Last night he said it's last week she said.
Guess what those gaps are? We'll get to those in a second. So I wanted to have a lot of control of like the harmonies and the notes. So I made a lot of creative decisions on what melodies the harmonies actually were. So Ellie and Adam would send me their harmonies, and they have a bunch of different harmonies, a bunch of, you know, thirds, fourths, fifths, all 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I don't know what. You know, I could stack all of them, and some of them are overkill. And sometimes I would like go in and literally change the melodies. For example, like right here, all right? So Ellie is ad-libbing over Luke's vocals.
Cause I got things I wanna leave behind.
Now you can hear.
Cause I got things I wanna leave behind.
Okay.
Dude, that's
Cause
crazy.
I got things I wanna leave behind.
So this is without it all.
Cause I got things I wanna leave behind.
So that was the original, right?
Cause I got things I wanna leave behind.
But I wanted a harmony underneath that, so I flex pitched the notes.
Cause I got things I wanna leave behind.
Right? I did the same for this one.
Cause I got things I wanna leave behind.
Right? This is what it was before.
Cause I got things I wanna leave behind.
This harmony did
Cause I
not
got things
exist.
I wanna leave behind.
Right? But I could make that harmony myself. So I did.
Cause I got things I wanna leave behind. Time not to survive my 5 people.
And you know, like here, different things are fading out earlier than others because I didn't want all of that as Luke got to the end of his verse. So you're producing, you have a lot of creative power over melodies. You gotta pick the right melodies for the harmonies. You don't want, it doesn't need to be messy everywhere, right? Where do you think needs the harmonies? Where do you not need the harmonies, right? Less is always more, so that when you get to areas where you want to do more, it's more impactful. Let's talk about Luke's part then, if we're here. I make his vocals all the time. We got a preset. The preset is called Violet. Here it is. I go over here, boom, Violet. And it's basically everything that we've done. Similar idea to everybody else.
Jumping at the sandal, highlight of my night like the candle. We climbed the new heights, can you handle? I vibe with you, right? Can we dance off? Why ain't you say what so? What a maneuver, you got things that you got.
So you can see like the way Luke records his verses, there's a lot of chopping up, a lot of like adding little things afterwards. Like we like to like record and then splice up the best parts, and we have the liberty to do that because, you know, when you compress the vocal that much, when it's so processed, it's easy to make different takes sound the same. The only difference between the ad-libs and the main vocals is, okay, they're a little quieter, they got some reverb on them, and they have RC20 on them. And basically what I do is I make sure it's stereo. So what RC20 does is it basically takes your vocal, copies and pastes it, and like detunes them in different ways and pans them right and left. So I'll make the ad-libs stereo and then have Luke's vocals down the middle, right? So Luke's doing his vocals and then the ad-libs will come in on the sides, and it just makes it sound so much nicer.
Jumping at the sandal, highlight of can we dance off? Why ain't you say what so? What a maneuver is trying to advance, contribute some. All my friends in one place, I'll introduce them. Yeah. Let's try to sympathize, cause I got things I wanna leave behind. Let's keep the timeline seamless, the vibe might find people inside my mind leaking some pride, guidelines leave them to die.
And
So
then
sick.
Ellie came in with these awesome harmonies. That's like, this is one of my favorite parts of the song.
Candle, highlight of my night like the candle. We climbed the new heights, can you handle? I vibe with you, right? Can we dance on? Why ain't you say what
This
over?
part.
You got things that you got planned, can you move them? I got things trying to advance, contribute some.
It's a beautiful chord. It's just blends so well with everything.
You got things that you got planned, can you move them? I got things trying to advance, contribute some. All my friends in one place, I'll introduce them. Yeah. Let's try to sympathize, cause I got things I wanna leave behind. Let's keep the timeline seamless, the vibe might find people inside my mind leaking some pride, guidelines leave them to die.
You can hear like in this part, like what makes it so beautiful. I mean, Luke's not even singing the right note for the chord there.
Playing, can you move them? I got
Can you move would fit better with the chord, right? But she comes in with the
over. You got things that you got planned, can you move them? I got things trying.
True, that's
you know,
crazy.
and she emphasizes that chord. It's beautiful. It's like the thing is like Luke, the cool thing about him is that like he's not originally a singer. Like he can sing, but you know, his mind doesn't think like a singer, which is great because singers are like, okay, like what, you know, melody can I, they're trying to listen and they're trying to come up with a melody. Like that's what I do, right? When I listen, I'm like, what nice melody can I come up with? He just like raps. He sings, you know, he's just like singing and like doing whatever, right? And it comes up with these, and then you auto-tune it and it comes up with these really nice melodies, right? Allow yourself to freestyle, and then go back and listen. So like this part right here
Timeline seamless, the vibe might find people.
was like actually somewhere over here originally when he freestyled the verse,
No
right?
way.
It's a
Fire.
perfect ending. Cool. So let's get to some of the bridge
A lot
melody.
going on there.
So now I got a weekend hangover. Have you ever wondered what happens next? We're only on this one.
So here's another part where, you know, you got creative leeway here. So Adam's original melody sounded like this.
Only on this once. So move the way you want. I know.
I was listening to it. Well, we're only young this once, so move the way you want, which is really cool. I was like, that first one sounds, we're only young this once, is the note that I was hearing, you know? Rather, we're only young this once. Basically, I just changed it.
Only on this once.
That's what it was
So
before.
move the way you want.
Okay.
Only on this once. So move the way you want. I know it.
Boom. And now, like, I would be careful because the more you flex pitch things, the worse it sounds. I try to be very conservative with how I flex pitch things now. You know, listening back to some of our older music, Milky Way, for example, that I made with Adam, there's like far too much just because I didn't know what I was doing, and it wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
Because the vocals were good.
Yeah.
Growth. So here it is with Ellie's
So
harmony.
now I got a weekend hangover. Have you ever wondered what happens next? We're only on this once. So move the way you want. I know it isn't easy to focus on the weak when we're the ones who feel the beat, and that's what's spoken of. Listen up, cause
I mean, it's gorgeous. I mean, you can hear, like, here's...
Wonder what happens next. We're only on this once. So move the way you want.
Listen to these.
weekend hangover. Have you ever wondered what happens next?
Back.
We're only on this
Beautiful, just
once.
simple.
So move the way you want. I know
Amen.
it isn't easy to focus on the weak when we're the ones who feel the beat, and that's what's spoken of. Listen up, cause
There you go. The last couple of things are, you know, the outro vocals, which are just insane.
They're crazy. Oh, I forgot about those.
So these are the most important to get like perfectly in tune and perfectly rhythmically on time. I mean, you can still hear like some of these uhs are not perfectly in times, but you know, it's all good. Here is, so Adam did these crazy. The hilarious thing is I changed one of your notes. So right,
No
this
way.
one. down. Originally, it was just this. It was one note. I made it 2 notes. Right? Because the chord changes there. Okay, so then comes in all of the background vocals. The trumpets are in now. So everything is working together. So everything needs to move together. Like all the trumpet chords.
Yeah.
Everything needs to move together, and that's what makes it so cohesive and so satisfying at the end. Everything needs to move together. The chords need to change at the same time,
Yeah.
and then you got.
I love that.
You can really hear the delay.
Yeah, I love that.
Till the next comes round.
So let's.
Intend for what went down, but we'll run it back next time you're in town. Last night he
Gorgeous.
said it's
Last night he said.
last week she said
Last week she said.
next weekend can't come.
Great, dude. It's awesome.
So in the gang vocals, the best night ever, and we're so fun. Number one, I did this because I didn't want to have to scream it when we play it live. But number two, I thought it could be so fun to have a crowd callback moment where I say, last night he said, best night ever. So all the guys will say that, and then all the girls will say, we're so fun. And I decided in all of these tracks that you're going to see right here to get my friends to track all of these. You can actually see it says Amber, Katie, Max, Hallie, Hannah, Tara, and RC all on there. And this is their tracks in the song. So friends, if you're watching this, here you are, you're in the song. Here's the proof.
Here's just
This is
them.
Best night ever.
We're so fun.
So those are my friends, and when it's just our voices, it still sounds like us to a degree.
Yeah.
But when we throw in all of these, I mean, our takes are far from perfect as well, but these ones where they don't really even have a pitch that they're going for, they're just, I told them to yell it, then it adds so much imperfection and depth and crowd energy to the song. So that's what we got out of this.
I mean, here's just Adam.
Best night ever.
That was David, me, Max, and David.
Best night ever.
We're so fun.
Different styles of saying we're so fun.
We're so fun. We're so fun. We're so fun.
Yeah.
And then you add in all of Adam's friends.
Best night ever. We're so fun.
The reason I said we're so fun, when I was writing this song, I was like, man, what crowd moments do I put? Because I thought best night ever first. That just came to my mind. And then I thought back to spring break of 2022, senior year of college. My friend Max just kept saying, we are so fun. So I decided, why not throw it in there? So Max, that one is for you.
But yeah, man, that's pretty much everything. This is all instruments. You got some percussion stuff, some risers, and all that good stuff right here. You got Luke's vocals. You got the gang vocals, right? You got Adam's lead vocals. You got Ellie's lead vocals. You got Ellie's harmonies. You got the trumpets, and then you've got guitars.
This is the final product right here. This is Weekend by Adam Paddock, BOUT 7, and Caleny.
Here we go.
If we stayed up all night, would you think that's alright? Take my time, I wanna know, yeah. Underneath the blue light, dance like it's the last time. It might be, you never know, yeah. Moments like this are standing still. Maybe it is just for the thrill. Monday I'll miss this kind of feel.
So now we got a weekend hangover. No one's got to defend what happened last night. We didn't intend for what went down, but we'll run it back next time you're in town. Last night he said it's the best night ever. Last week she said we're so fun. Next weekend can't quicker, so we stand up fixed till the next comes round.
Jumping out the sandal, highlight of my night like the candle. We climb the new heights, can you handle? I vibe with you, right? Can we dance on? Why ain't you say what so? Maneuver, you got things that you got planned, can you move on? I got things trying to advance, contribute some. All my friends in one place, I'll introduce them, yeah. Let's try to sympathize, cause I got things I wanna leave behind. Let's keep the timeline seamless, the vibe. Might find people inside my mind leaking some pride. Guidelines, we on the die.
Weekend hangover, no one's gotta defend what happened last night. We didn't intend for what went down, but we're running back next time you're in town. Last night he said it's the best night now. Last week she said we're so fine. Next week can get come quicker, so we stand up big till the next goes round.
Moments like this, you're standing still. Maybe it is just for the thrill. Monday, I miss this kind of feel.
So now I got a weekend hangover. Have you ever wondered what happens next? We're all the youngest ones, so move the way you want. I know it isn't easy to focus on the week when we're the ones who feel the beat, and that's what's spoken of. Listen up, cause so now I got a weekend hangover. No one's got defend what happened last night. Yeah, intent for what went down.
We're recording this right now in 2022, and we're going to be posting this in 2023. So we're very excited to see how far the song has come in like 3 months when we post this thing. So thanks for tuning in. If you watched the whole thing, you're the best. If you skip chapter to chapter, it's okay. There's just more Easter eggs for you to find when you get bored and want to watch the rest of the video. Keep streaming Weekend, Bad and Paddock, BOUT 7 in Caleny, and
Do it.
we'll see you on the next one. See you on the next tune.